want to welcome everybody that's in the room with us today. So I see everybody making introductions in the chat. Hello and welcome. And I just want to go through a little bit of the structure of today, what you can expect. And then of course, knowing that at any point you can ask questions in the chat, and myself or someone else from the Erickson team that's on the meeting right now will be sure to check in with you and answer. So great to have you all introducing yourselves, and thank you so much for being here. And I am just going to go through our agenda. So again, my name is Kalyna Miletic, and I'm a PCC level coach, which just means I did my certification with the International Coaching Federation. And I'm going to be assisting with the Brain Hacks for Teens course that starts on May 2nd. I'll do a little bit more of a bio on myself in a moment so you get a sense of my background and where I'm coming from. But in this webinar today, what we're going to cover is introductions again to me, also to the program, so a little bit more on where we're going to be headed in the program, some of the key concepts that we'll talk about, and then we'll do an interview with a teen, Leo, who actually took the Art and Science of Coaching as a course. So we'll get his feedback on what he thought about the course, what he gained from it, and just hear a little bit about his experience with coaching skills and what they've done for him in his life. And then we'll absolutely invite some questions about the coaching approach, Erickson's methodology, the pilot itself and any details you have there, and any related questions you have. We'll definitely set up some time for that at the end so that we can talk about anything that comes to mind. Again, if something pops up in the middle, please feel free to write it down either in the chat or just even on a paper with you now so that we can make sure that you remember it and we can address it throughout the course of our time together today. So as promised, a little bit about me. Again, my name is Kalyna. I'm originally from Toronto, but I'm actually right now in Switzerland. And the reason I really started to pursue coaching was because I knew I wanted to help people directly, but I didn't want to be a therapist, and I wanted something that really helped people to change behaviors in the way that they thought to be really creating different outcomes in their lives. If they were kind of going through the same struggles over and over again, I really wanted a way for people to be able to, through spending time with me, change their lives. And I was really just Googling around one day where I found Erickson, and I started investigating what coaching really is. And that started me off on my whole journey to becoming a professional certified coach. And now I've coached over 1,500 hours with clients in 21 countries around the world, and I have my own coaching practice. And I'm really grateful to say that I'm also working with Erickson as a facilitator for this particular program. So what's going to be great about this is, as you guys know, it's online. And I've been working online for 8 years. So I have done programs with San Francisco State University. I've spoken at high schools all over California and Ontario, so around Toronto and the GTA. And I've been running live webinars like this for a few years because my work is actually mainly remote. So most of the stuff I do both with Erickson and with my own coaching practice, and really any speaking gigs that I do, it's all online. So got a deep history in remote work. And in terms of the program and introducing that a little bit, I mean, you guys know it's called Brain Hacks for Teens. And again, really what we're hoping to support you with in terms of this program is to show up with stronger communication skills and coaching skills, with the deeper intention of you guys really being able to actually navigate life scenarios better. And what I mean by that is high school can be challenging, having responsibilities can be challenging, relationships with your friends, dating, teachers, parents, I mean, all of it, it can be challenging to navigate those relationships. And so what we really want to do is give you some tools over the course of this program to help you navigate that with a bit more confidence, a bit more clarity, understanding how to deal with those challenging scenarios as they come, along with, again, a better use of knowing how to structure your time, understanding a bit about how your brain works, and with that understanding, again, being able to shift your perspective to change how a tough situation might seem. and a little bit of a focus on feedback to feel more appreciated by your teachers, parents, friends, and to also just, again, understand how to navigate, because going into life after high school can be challenging, and the more skills and the more tools that you can have at your disposal, the better. And we're going to focus on the tools around how to, again, communicate, how to hack your brain really to show up more as the person you want to be. So the key question that I think we'll be answering over the course of this program is really, who am I and how do I want to show up? Those are kind of the two key things. I'm seeing a lot in the chat, so I just want to kind of check in here. Lots more intro. So hello, and so many Erickson coaches here in the room. So you guys know all about it. You know all about what I mean when I talk about some powerful questions here. So that's just a brief introduction. I think we've got kind of the bulk of the people that are going to join us in the room. So that's great. And I'd like to just shift our attention a little bit to Leo, actually, and just getting a sense of what his experience was, and just a bit of an introduction. Again, Leo did tasks, so he did the art and science of coaching, and I just learned actually that he did all 4 modules. So Leo is an expert in what it's like to join an Erickson program and take part. So Leo, welcome in, and thanks so much for being here.
Yep, thank you.
Hey. All right, so let's see, I can hear you. That's great. I'd love to just get your take first and foremost. What made you join the course in the first place? Why'd you decide to join the art and science of coaching?
Oh, since my mother is a coach from like Erickson, and she introduced me to this kind of course and this kind of thing, and I thought it would be interesting if because I wanted to help people as well, and I wanted to try to like improve my peer group or have like more influence and try to help people. So that's why I thought this would be a good opportunity to try to like learn some new skills in like an area I haven't really learned of or even thought of before. Because in the past, when I think coaching, I just thought like, like coaches on like soccer fields or that kind of coaching, but I haven't actually like been in contact much with this field at all. So I was curious into what it would like do.
Yeah, really cool. So what would you say it did? What were those skills that came up for you, or the things that are most memorable?
I think that coaching, what it did the most was like 2 things. First, it made me like think deeper about like certain things and not just like flow through life without really looking or reflecting. But when I go through something, I can like think intentionally, and I'm able to like be able to do things or think in like a deeper level. So I'm able to like really think about like why I did such things or for which reasons and that kind of thing. And secondly, it would help me to have like better relationships with some of my friends and to be able to really look at the world more from their perspective. Because in the past, when I tried to help people, it was more like saying, oh, hey, you should try this, you should do this, you should because like I'm trying to help them from my own perspective, but sometimes that may not really help them. So in this case, I'm trying to like ask them to like, what do you actually want in this case? How may we like help you do this kind of thing?
Yeah, very cool. The concept of ask versus tell, which is something that'll definitely show up in this course. Um, so what else? What else would you say was kind of the most standout useful thing? I know when we talked before, you were mentioning the planning questions and how you manage your time with them on a daily basis. So tell me a little bit more about that in terms of how you manage your time, because I know, I mean, even for me, and I'm out of high school for sure, but even for me, time management is something that comes up a lot in terms of being sort of a challenge. So how'd you find that the modules helped you to manage your time differently?
So I learned about like the 4 quadrants in module 1, I think, and about how like a good balance of these 4 areas, physical, relational, creative, and meaningful, these 4 areas would help you make like your life better. And I took that and I tried to apply it to like a day-to-day basis. So I'm able to like, for example, for one day, I would think, oh, for physical, I would try to exercise and like run outside or take walks outside and breathe fresh air. So be like good physically. For relational, I would like have contact with friends and like play together with them and be like social and have that kind of relationship with my friends and like my parents and such. And for creative, it would be more of like discovering more things and learning more things, like academics, which I would do like programming or um, math, reading, that kind of thing to improve myself academically. And then for the final part, it's meaningfully, I would try to at the end of each day, or just like set plans or set some sort of at least day-to-day plans of like what I want to do each day. And at the end of the day, I would think of like reflect on such things and like see how much time I used to do everything. For example, kind of like chart my day a little. So then I'm able to look at that and see, oh, hey, which parts did I do well? Which parts could I improve on? And which parts were I most proud of?
Very cool. I think even for me, it's been a valuable way for me to manage my time as well. So thanks so much for sharing. And I wonder if anyone that's in the room would like to share a question with Leo to hear a little bit more about his experience. I mean, I'm happy to speak more on my take, and I'm sure Leo's got lots of stories, but I'd love to get some questions from the room on why did you spend time learning how to coach or learning coaching skills, communication skills. We've got one here from Nick. Thank you. How did this help your relationship with your parents?
I would say for this coaching, it would help me see more things from their perspectives and see, and so that we're able to communicate better so that we don't like jump to conclusions, but instead try to think from everybody's perspective. And I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, I'm wondering about what scenario comes to mind if you imagine, a successful negotiation for something you wanted with your parents or a successful interaction. What comes to mind for you?
I think that for example, we could have like I could try to like get something or something then, or we have some sort of misunderstanding, then we could try to see from other people's perspectives and see how it might have happened instead of like jumping to conclusions and saying like, oh, you're wrong right away, but thinking, wait, what do I have the full picture? Do I see everything yet? And then once we see everything from the all perspectives, then we'll try to like discuss it out. And I think that's better.
Yeah, really cool. Thanks. So we've got a bunch more. Your people want to hear from you, which is great. So what was the thing that made you say this coaching training is for me? So I know you mentioned that your mom works for Erickson, so you had a you had a leg up there. But what was it that really made you say yes to doing this program?
I think that for this program, it was pretty interesting because like after I got there for the first few days, I thought it was like a completely different type of program than like I would usually go to or some sort of because I would go to like these summer camps and these things as well. But this program is like different in how, and also all the storytelling that happened and the interesting stories I've heard from like the coaching perspectives and such were quite interesting, and that kind of also lured me into this kind of program.
Great, thank you. Another one here. How did the learning help with peer pressure, if at all? How did it help?
I would say this learning like of these kind of things can help with, it's not really like peer pressure, but in like relationships with your friends, you can have like a more of a say or more like try to like see from their perspectives more. So then instead of them pressure, you can also like influence them as well instead of just being like a one-way pressure. So it would be like that kind of thing would be balanced.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I can think about even in my relationships, um, definitely with teachers. Even when I went to university, I think something that was challenging was if I got an assignment back and I really wasn't happy with the grade I got, and I felt like, well, the teacher was really the authority in the room, and how was I supposed to have a discussion about the fact that I was unhappy with my grade? And I, with coaching skills, what it's helped me do in different programs that I've been in afterwards is really have those kind of more difficult discussions with people that are maybe in power. So again, parents or teachers, but even when you start getting like a part-time job or an internship, if you're heading into the later years of high school, there are a lot of scenarios that come up where someone asks you to do something that you don't feel comfortable with. And for me, being able to ask them what their intention is behind that, or really show up more curious, like you mentioned the word curious, I think for me, that makes it so different. And instead of everyone sort of getting defensive about their side and having to prove their point, it really turns into more of a discussion around clarifying what both people want, and it again becomes more curious. And I think that's a really powerful skill for anyone at any age, when there are a lot of different stakeholders or people that are making decisions involved in something, even group work, group projects. Really great share, Leo. And here we go, we've got another one, and I'll spend a few more minutes. So Leo, what's changed after you completed all the modules? So in the way you feel, or the person that you show up as, or maybe how you feel about coaching, but mostly what's changed about you? What would you say, how have you changed for the better? Is maybe I'm trying to encapsulate a couple of questions that we're getting here in the chat at once. So how would you say you've changed for the better after taking the coaching programming with Erickson?
I think that I would, instead of going through like every day, like in the past, like I was still like doing the things I thought was important, but like having like the sense of priority and the sense of like intentionally like why I would like do the things every day. Because like now, especially in this like quarantine season, it feels like every day feels like the same, and you just do the same thing over and over and over and over again. But then with this kind of coaching and with this kind of thing, I'm able to like set more plans and to think more like long term, and think like, oh hey, I'm able to just do this every day and live this day intentionally and try to just make, because I can only influence today, like right now, so I'm able to like live every day with like a sense of purpose. And I think that's very valuable, especially in these times where it can feel like nothing you do matters because like it all feels the same over and over again. But to think that it does matter, because every day that you do well will eventually like lead up to like a success.
Yeah, really cool. And I like how you put it to this time. It certainly is easy to forget what day it is lately. But I love the take you have on planning the future, but then coming back to today. So really having your vision clear of where you want to go, but then acting today on what you can do. Because really you're right. All we can do is really be conscious of how we're acting today in the moment. Another one from Jill. Thank you so much. I think it's a great question. Have you found other teens also wanting to learn these skills? So peers, have you spoken to anyone about the course and had them say that they're interested, or what about it is interesting maybe to them?
Well, I haven't really spread this kind of thing to my school yet, but I have met some people in my summer camp who's doing something that's pretty similar to this and trying to like develop themselves and trying to like improve themselves or like to help other people. And I also talked about like coaching with them, and they thought it was a pretty cool idea. Because like I would say like the people I met at that summer camp, it was at it was like Johns Hopkins University. Yeah, it was a summer camp there, and I met some people there who are like pretty similar minded as me. So we talked about a lot of things, and one of the things we talked about was like coaching and how it could also, and they thought they were pretty interested, and they thought it was a cool idea to try to help other people as well.
Yeah, awesome. And sounds like a cool camp. We might have to talk about that one later too. Yeah, thanks, Leo, from Jill in the chat there. Another one from Christine. How did this help you with building your professional path, where you want to go in terms of your career? So maybe just what did it clarify about what coaching is as a profession, and making some choices about where you want to head in your career?
Still, even based on coaching, I'm still not sure exactly what I'm going to like do in the future and like what it was going to be as a career. Cause like, I'm still not sure about that yet, but I think, with coaching, I think it could be a valuable tool or like a valuable experience that could help me in the future wherever which career I go to, because like careers nowadays, you can't just like do it all by yourself. You have to have like a team of people, and you have to like develop the relationships with the people in your team. So with coaching, you're able to do that better and like influence people.
Yeah, really true. And I think communication spans any career, like you're saying. I mean, communication skills and being able to communicate is something that we're all using every day. Um, and yeah, collaboration from the chat there. Absolutely. I mean, what job is out there that you don't have to collaborate with different individuals, right? And the more you're able to communicate clearly and effectively, the better you're able to collaborate on any team. So
Yeah.
some adults still don't even. Yeah, thanks, Christine. I think another really reassuring thought. It's really okay to not know yet. I think we're all evolving when it comes to our careers, and certainly a lot of jobs that are going to be around in 10 to 15 years don't even exist yet, right? So I think you hit on a valuable point, which is that the skills that you gain from the programming are really useful no matter where you go. And I think that's something to really consider, right? What are the skills that you as an individual want in your kind of toolkit, so to speak, or what are the skills you want to have going into the rest of high school or university or your first couple of jobs? What skills do you think are going to be important for you? And sure, a lot of people are talking about coding, right, or very technical skills, and they're absolutely worthy. But I think it's something to consider no matter what profession you choose. Communication is going to be there in one form or another. So really valuable point, Leo. Thank you. And let's see here, maybe just got one here from Yusra, and I hope I'm saying that correctly. My name is also a bit complicated, but this sounds beautiful. Yusra, I hope I'm saying that right. What would be the most important skill that you would encourage your peers to get coached on?
I think it's the skill of really like listening to other people and really letting them speak in a conversation. Because honestly, when most people were like ask you for help, or most people like ask you for like a conversation, and I've experienced this personally as well. So it's like they don't they don't really want you to like give them all the answers and give them like all the things that they could do to like make themselves better. Sure, they know that already. The thing is, they sometimes they don't have, or sometimes I don't have like the ability to like do all the things I know is best for me. But instead, what they really need is just somebody that can listen to them, that can just like sit there and be with them, so that they can feel heard and they can feel like they're valued. So I think that's a very important point of coaching as well, so that you can more like listening to other people instead of just giving them like what you think is best, like listening to them, so that eventually they'll find a solution on them by themselves.
Yeah, you touch upon a very valuable point when it comes to the Ericksonian philosophy and also just being solution focused and also around listening. I mean, you've touched on so many points of what we'll cover in the course, which is great. But one thing is really this belief that we really have all the answers within us, right? And we're very resourceful. And so creating that space for someone to be able to share with you openly, I mean, another very valuable point that you've come up with today, which is so true. I think we could all use an open mind and a very genuine listener who's able to show up and really just hear us. I think that was beautiful what you said about being heard and valued. So maybe just a couple more minutes, Leo, because I know lots of questions, which is so great. Let's see. Well, so with everyone in isolation, right, and doing school online, so you're not getting to see any of your friends and everybody's online. What do you think the skills you gained are that help with the stress or the coping with all the changes? So it's obviously a very unique time. Like you said, all the days are rolling into one another, and you don't get to see friends. So what skills have you gained to help with stress?
I think for skills I've gained, one is more like thinking that like positive thinking, and like knowing that this time like eventually it's going to be over, and that we're still gonna come back and still gonna be like hang out with friends and do all these kind of cool things outside again. And then it's just like I've said earlier, like maximizing every day, so that like after these times, I think that like these times or these days will really test like a person's like actual character and their ability to really live intentionally and to live like that. Because like certain people, they may just like not know what the days are and they just like waste all their time. But then instead with these things, we can try to make every day like the best and to do the best every day. So then throughout after this time of like 6 months or something, we're able to come out as like a much better person as before we came into like quarantine.
Very cool. Thank you. Yeah, and positive thinking sometimes has an interesting connotation. People think, oh yeah, well, but it's a challenging time. And I think what you said is so great, because being solution focused, and that's what really we talk about at Erickson a lot. Being solution focused is not necessarily saying that there aren't challenges to what's going on right now. Not at all. There are very real challenges that show up in all of our lives at different ages, and they're all real, and we should listen to how we feel about them. And when we're at a point to talk about them with a coach and explore them even for ourselves, what's interesting is kind of this shift that happens with solution focused thinking, and also in the solution focused coaching process, which is going from this is terrible and I can't, and focusing on all the negatives. We really move to a place of how can I? And I think that's definitely changed my life in coming up with ways that we can show up in that scenario and figure out a way to respond in a way that makes us feel a bit more in control. And especially at a time like this one, I think it's easy to feel very out of control with the uncertainty. And so focusing on what we are in control of, what we have power over within our lives, those little daily decisions, like you mentioned, Leo, I think that makes all the difference now more than ever, but certainly as a skill going forward, even past what's going on in the world right now, to be able to say what's in my control. And that's a very powerful concept that I definitely learned from Erickson, and it's changed the way I view scenarios really in any aspect of my life. So thanks so much, Leo.
I think that's also like really good, because like I've had some friends who maybe not had the most positive view of like the world or of themselves, and they tend to be more like negative about things and to think like, oh, I can't do this, I'm not able to do this, I'm not that good, or like I'm but then like with this kind of thing, I can help them to say like, hey, like, but what about like the things that you can do? What about the things that you're actually like good at? And then try to focus on those areas, because like most of these people, actually, I know they're actually like probably better than like the average person, but they still only look at the places that they're doing bad at, which is also good in some perspective, as in they can improve up by themselves. But then also they need to learn to like look at the things that they're actually good at, and to try to like be more happy with like what they already have, and instead of just looking at what they don't have.
Yeah, very cool. And again, I think it's so interesting hearing you talk. These reminders are things that even for me, and I think we can all to some degree agree, they're things that continue well beyond being a teen. So you're bringing up really insightful points that, at least for me, stick with me now, and I think about now daily. So thank you so much. I think gratitude and believing in our own abilities is huge. And with that, the confidence piece comes to mind. And I'm also really curious about, we've got a question here as well about leadership. So how have you found that by feeling more confident in what you're able to do and being more positive and solution focused, how would you say that translates into being a leader with your peers or friends?
Yeah, I think that like being more like confident and being more like know what you're able to do really like sets out to be a leader, because like most people, like a leader is just somebody that they who believes in themselves, has like a aura of like positive energy, and that they'll follow them because they have that positive energy. They also have like the skills to back up that energy, but like mostly it's like that able it's like charisma to be able to like lead your team forward and have them all be like have them all be energized and positive, so you can really like do some really great things.
For sure. And how would you say, what skills from coaching help you to carry that forward? Because charisma is one thing, right? But then, like you said, you've got to back that up with some skills. So what skills do you think it takes to be a great leader and with peers at school?
I think to be a great leader, you need to like look out for everybody on your team, and you can't just be charging ahead while leaving people behind. So you're able to, with like coaching skills, you're able to um help the rest of your team, and to know really like, and to connect really with every single person on your team, so that you're able to really like hold the whole team together and let the whole team be like prosper with you, and to like try to help them as well as going forward.
Wow. Again, I think some adults and some leaders in the world right now would benefit from those type of skills too. Again, Leo, you're touching upon things that are, gosh, I think so instrumental to being a powerful leader in the world, let alone starting out as a teen. I can only imagine if I had some of these learnings and skills as a 14, 15, 16-year-old, where I'd be now. So thank you so much for sharing. And just for everyone that's here in the chat, Nicole is sharing her contact information as an Erickson enrollment advisor. So if you're interested in just learning more about the course, having a discussion one-on-one with someone, please feel free to reach out to her. And there's a link for more information as well in the chat, just so that everyone can access that and see it. And I know we actually have another teen who hasn't taken the course yet, but is interested in the room. And Nick, up to you on if you want to share or how you want to share, maybe in the chat or live. But how would you describe the value of Leo sharing with us today? Or do you have any more questions for Leo maybe that you want to ask? Again, feeling free to share live or in the chat. We'd love to hear from you.
I think the points that Leo touched on were really important, and I think a lot of, again, world leaders today have to think about those topics. And as like a teen myself, and for teens out there, having a good relationship with parents, good grades, all that kind of stuff is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And I think that's a really important point that you mentioned. You kind of touched upon a couple, and that's the thing, is that there are a lot of things to manage as a teenager, but also just, again, the more I talk about these concepts, it helps me in my day-to-day life. And again, I'm years out of high school, but I think being able to manage parents, teachers, friends, family, siblings, if you've got younger or older siblings, right, those relationships can be very interesting too. I mean, the ability to manage our relationships using strong communication skills is the difference between having arguments every day and being able to show up and find solutions and interact positively with people, again, in any environment or situation. And I think that's really what we're able to do as coaches, is to show up, actively listen, be present with the person, to Leo's point earlier, ask questions, understand the individual better rather than jumping to our own conclusions. And I just want to thank both Leo and Nick for the questions, the answers, the engagement. And I just want to check in again, Nick, any other questions for Leo before we move on?
Just one. When you actually did the course, how did you feel socially?
For like when I went into the course, I was a little bit like shocked that it was mostly like people who are probably like 40 or above, and most of these people were like people like my parents' age. So I was like, oh wow, these people. So then at the start, I didn't think that I would be able to like connect with them, because we're like in generations, we're like so far apart. But then actually, as I got into the course, I thought like these people actually, like their thinkings, their dreams, their struggles are actually very similar still to like people our age and like me. So I think that and like I'm still able to, using coaching and the different things I use, still able to actually help people that even at that age who are like there were some people who are 26, some who are like 50, like even people at that age, I'm still able to use these coaching skills to help them, and they can use their coaching skills to help me. So it wasn't even much of like an age gap there. It was all just like we felt like really good in like a community. And I think the social environment for like the first 2 days, I wasn't really that like I wasn't really that integrated, but then afterwards I thought it was really good.
Really great question, and I want to hear more about the setting, the actual environment that you were in, Leo. And I do just want to point out though that what's going to be cool about Brain Hacks for Teens is that it will be people in your age group, which is pretty cool, because we're focused really on this course being for 14 to 18 or so. I appreciate the share, and I think it's so valuable to note that absolutely coaching skills, regardless of age, even demographics, so geography, someone's nationality, we're really able to connect on questions and showing up as active listeners. So I think that's very cool. But I do just want to clarify about the teen, this course, the Brain Hacks for Teens, being very specific to the age group. And I'm curious, Leo, would you have felt safer or maybe more interactive in a peer-to-peer group? So a group that was just people your age.
I think for me it would have been, yeah, at the start especially, I think it would have been like more just interactive, since if once you go into like a room or like a brand new place, if you see people who are like all your age, then you feel more comfortable there, and you feel more comfortable just like making friends and like talking to people maybe. So I think that when we start this program, that when it's all people of the same age, then they'll feel more connected towards each other, and they'll be more likely to bond with each other.
Yeah, very cool. I agree, and that's really my hope and intention in the course, is a lot of experiences and a lot of talking. I think I'm actually curious from you. Did you find that how was your experience within the class, like the actual class structure itself?
I think that for the class structure, it was pretty good. It was like, I think it was 2 hours of listening, and then we had some like 30-minute breaks or some breaks like that. And the class, like the structure of the learning, like in the different modules, was also like based with like 4 questions. With 4 questions that they're based on. So I think like the technical parts of it are also pretty well organized.
Cool. And so I just want to invite this, and Leo, please feel free to say no if it's not okay, but I'd love to invite you to ask Nick a coaching question, and maybe again, Nick, also we need your okay on that. But I'd love to just invite you guys to just 1 or 2 questions to experience a bit of coaching. Nick, only if you're okay, and Leo as well.
Oh, sure. So,
is that okay, Nick? I just want to chat.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay. So then, like, if you went to this if you also went to this kind of coaching course, then what do you think it would help you in your current life or in your social life?
Well, there's a lot of like at my school, there's a lot of like, it's like if you mess up and you make a mistake, it's like you're going downhill really fast in in a social dynamic. So I think with coaching skills, it could really help people like not go down that hill.
Yeah, like if you have these skills and you're able to do these things, then you can not just like fall like all the way down. But do you think it also has something to do with like the social dynamics at like school?
Yeah, I think it could really help.
Okay, so then how would you think these sets of skills would help you in, let's say, a relationship with your parents?
Well, I find my mom does try and coach a lot, and a lot of times I don't fully understand it. So it might help me see, like you said, from their perspective. And uh, my dad also.
Okay. So then, lastly, what do you think these skills could help you in, let's say, thinking for your future or like what you want to do maybe when you grow up or that kind of thing?
Well, when I'm older, I want to manage people. So a coaching bit of communication could really help managing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Fantastic. And thank you so much for sharing and experiencing a bit of coaching there, Nick and Leo, for some wonderful questions. And just to that point, Nick, I think again, managing people, it's communication skills again, more than anything. I think no matter what, parents, friends, teachers, employees, really internships, looking for jobs, it's all hinged on our ability to really connect authentically with other people and share the information in a concise and clear way. Um, and and I think we'll be able to explore that a little bit in Brain Hacks for Teens. And I just want to very briefly, and then we'll wrap up and send you off for the rest of your day and weekend. But I really just want to touch upon the name a little bit because it is Brain Hacks for Teens. And so today you got a little bit more history on where I'm coming from and my background. Heard a little bit about Erickson and some Ericksonian principles. You got to meet Leo, who took the course himself and experience a little bit of what coaching questions could be like from teens themselves. But I would really love to just share one moment on the brain and why it's pretty cool to understand how our brain works. And so there's a session within the Brain Hacks for Teens course that's specific to how the brain works, the different parts of the brain. Learners will be able to really delve into this in whatever way fascinates them. So if it's from more of a science perspective, really understanding the amygdala or how the limbic brain works, they'll be able to delve into that and look into it themselves. And then if it's from more of a psychological or neuroscience or more of an understanding from even an art perspective on the brain and how the brain factors into our history, perhaps they'll also have a little bit of the art side to coaching. But certainly I just wanted to touch upon the fact that there will be some neuroscience and some look into the different parts of the brain and how the way that our brain responds is very much so linked to, of course, our thoughts and then emotions and even actions. So there will be a bit of a component there that I think will be very interesting. And if you don't consider yourself necessarily a sciencey person, that's totally okay, because it's going to be experiential. We'll be doing it in class. There's no exam at the end, so there's no need to feel that there will be any sort of pressure there. Again, the intention is so that you can really experience coaching from a bunch of different perspectives and angles. So again, if there are more questions, I'd just like to wrap up by recapping that Nicole's email is in the chat. Maybe we'll post it one more time just so that it's at the end. You can please feel free to reach out to her with any questions about the course. And there's also a link there in the chat for the course itself, so you can get more information on the course. And we will be meeting again in a similar forum. Yeah, I love this. No more homework, peer-to-peer interaction. Exactly. A little bit like what you experienced today and what you guys all were able to see and hear, experience in the conversation with Leo and Nick here today. So please feel free to join us again next Saturday, the 25th at the same time. It'll be a similar format, but of course with some new information and maybe some new questions. Oh, and a logistics question coming in. There is a limit to participants per section, because we want to make sure that, of course, everyone's getting a really, really tight-knit experience and feeling like their voice is heard. So we're looking at about 16 learners or so. And there are still places now, so please feel free to reach out to Nicole if you'd like to sign up and join us. Of course, with Erickson's 40-year, there is a great discount on this course. So please do join us for this course itself, because actually it's a pilot, and we're able to really create a great discount with a 40% off for the program. So if it's of interest, now is a great time. And again, everyone's at home, so what better time? And of course, if there's a lot of interest, we can create another pilot. So please feel free to share. There's a link, of course, that Nicole has shared in the chat, or just the Brain Hacks for Teens link on Erickson's website. You can, of course, also connect with me, absolutely. Kalyna at erickson.edu. Please feel free to reach out to me, as I'll be in all of the sessions. So happy to chat and get to meet you and answer any questions that you might have. I want to thank you so much for being here with us today. And what I'll do is I will stick around if there are any other questions in the chat, but I just want to again thank you all so much for being here. Leo and Nick, for some great questions and insights from you both. Thank you for joining us on your Saturday. And please feel free, I'll be here for another few minutes or so. So if you've got any questions or want to chat personally, I will stick around for a few more minutes to do that. Otherwise, I wish you an amazing rest of your day and weekend. And I hope to see you either next week at the same time here, or of course, in the Brain Hacks for Teens course itself. So thank you so much. Take care, stay healthy, and we will see you hopefully again very soon. See you.